Maqasidic Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnahfollowers presents a new class, the Maqasidic Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustada Laila Nasheeba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel Sunnahfollowers.
We're going to review the parable that we've spent the past several weeks discussing, the parable of light from Surat An Nur, the light of Allah. And as we've spoken about, the light of Allah consists of two different types. The perceived light of Allah, this is the light that we can see, the light that comes from Allah's face, which is hidden behind a screen. But that little bit of light that comes from behind that screen is what illuminates the universe as we know it today. You know, the sun, the light from the sun comes from there, the stars, the alternation of night and day. All of that light emanates from Allah's face. And we see it in the rest of his creation. That's the first type. The second type of light used in the parable, which are the first 5 verses of Surat An Nur, is the light of Allah's guidance. The guidance that Allah will shed into your heart, my heart. But it doesn't just happen. You have to take the steps to want to change the condition of yourself. Maybe you were a non-Muslim. You did not believe in Allah, but then life was kicking you down so bad that you just felt the need to change. You wanted to change. That's when the light of Allah's guidance will enter into your heart and reignite the wick of the lantern in your heart, which is known as the fitra. Okay? But I want everyone to understand with these parables, Allah will never change the condition of a person until that person takes the steps to change him or herself. So tonight what I'm going to do is break this parable of guidance. We're going to focus on the light of guidance, not the perceived light, because we already focused on that before. I want to focus more in on the guidance, on how we can best understand the parable of guidance. And when it comes to using this verse of the Quran, we try to break it down. We try to break it down into 2 parts. Oh, by the way, this is the quiz, which I'm going to give you. I didn't mean to put it in this one. That's going to be for next week. That's the quiz for next week. Okay, I forgot I left it in there. Okay, when we talk about the light of guidance, this parable can be broken down into 2 parts for the person, the believer who is struggling to find himself or find her way back to Allah to ponder. The first one is this part, where Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, he sends down from the sky rain and valleys flow according to their capacity, and the torrent carries a rising foam. This is the first parable that speaks about Allah's guidance, the light of his guidance in those verses. And then the second verse that speaks about the parable of guidance is this one, where Allah says, And from that ore which they heat in the fire, desiring adornments and utensils, is a foam like it. Two beautiful, beautiful, beautiful verses of the Quran from Surat An Nur that will help a person to revive his sick or diseased or dead heart, if only he would ponder it. And let's look at the first verse, where Allah says he sends down the rain from the sky. When we read the Quran, the Prophet said, ponder the meaning. So let's ponder this sentence. He, Allah, sends down from the sky rain. I want everybody here to think about the rain. Imagine the rain falling from the sky. We see it. When Allah sends the rain falls from the clouds, and that rain flows onto the earth, into the lowland valleys. It covers the streets, it covers the sidewalks, it covers the mountains, the dales, the valleys, the oceans. So that rain hits the earth and flows, however it flows, over all the surface of the earth, and the surface of the earth takes it in according to its capability. The river, the oceans, a stream will hold as much water as it can hold. The grass will, the dirt underneath the grass will hold as much of that water as it can hold. If it can't hold it, what happens? When you step down into the grass with your foot, it's gonna be a puddle of water. Your feet are gonna sink in it. So that rain softens the surface. It softens the surface of the earth. It'll make a dry ground like this slippery. This is a ground with rocks. That rain will fall down and it'll be slippery. If you don't walk carefully, you will slip and fall. So the Quran and the Hadith mention many examples of rain and water to illustrate Allah's revelation, which is the Quran. And the interpretation of the symbol of rain. Remember, rain represents knowledge. Knowledge. Allah sends rain down to the earth to nourish it, to soften it, to make things grow. Well, that rain is knowledge that Allah will send to your heart, to nurture your heart, to make your figure grow. Okay? Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. He said, the example of guidance and knowledge which Allah has sent to me is like the rain that falls to the earth. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. As long as you are sincere in wanting to learn, we can never learn too much. Our hearts will soak it up. Many of you are experiencing this right now. For you new shahadas, you've been coming to my classes. You're learning Islam in its truthfulness with the understanding of those original companions, like this companion here who reported this hadith, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, who was also one of the first ambassadors of Islam, one of the first da'iyah that the Prophet sent to call the people to Islam. Okay? We can soak it up. Your heart can hold as much guidance and as much knowledge as it's capable of. Okay, and that's what this parable signifies. You know, if you take that step towards Allah, all you need is for you to take the first step, and Allah will come a fathom towards you. You make that attempt to change the condition of yourself, and then Allah will step in. The Muslims today are boycotting, protesting. There is no benefit to that. I don't care what these brothers tell y'all. I'm just speaking the truth. They don't like it. Put an egg in their head. I don't care. They can protest till the saints come home. They can boycott till the saints come home. Nothing will change the condition of the people except the law. And Allah says he will never change the condition of the people until they make the attempt to change the condition of themselves. These Muslims have to turn back to Tawheed. These people who are protesting, these Muslims that are protesting and boycotting, look at what they're writing on the internet. Look what they're writing. They're saying, oh, instead of learning Tawheed, we should be out defending our brothers and sisters who are dying. Are you a crazy idiot? Without Tawheed, you have no defense. Without Tawheed, there is no defense. Okay? We have to seek the correct knowledge, the correct understanding of this religion of Allah, and then Allah will give us the guidance. And as a result of that, then Allah will change our condition to something other than what it is. But we're not on that level today. We're not there. We're twisted. We're so far away from the correct Islam that it ain't funny. So many of these brothers and sisters who are protesting and boycotting, instead of wasting their time with that drama, they need to do this. They need to look at the example of how Allah sends down from the sky the rain and ponder this and apply it and seek the guidance from Allah. That's what the prophet meant when he said, when you live to see the war, because the prophet Muhammad was in war. The companions were at war their whole life. They asked him, what do we do in times of war? He didn't tell them to protest the qadr of Allah. We don't do that. That'll take you out of Islam. He didn't tell us to boycott. That ain't hurting nobody because Allah is the sustainer. Okay? He told the companions what you do in times of war is this. You fall back. You fall back upon La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. You fall back upon your belief system. Check your aqidah. Do you truly believe in Allah? Are you the reason why Allah? Because the war comes from Allah, not man. Are you the reason Allah sent it? Check yourself. That's what we're supposed to do in times of calamity. Fall back upon our belief system, not all this kafir fighting. Kafirs protest the qadr of Allah. Kafirs boycott and go on starvation diets and kill themselves. We don't behave that way. Okay? Like Umar radiallahu anha said, we fight with La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Okay? So again, and this is how the companions, these verses here, how they looked when they read this verse. Allah sends down from the sky rain. Okay? And compared it with how Allah sends down knowledge, how Allah sends down guidance. Some of us benefit from it. Some of us suck it up. But others of us are like rocks. We make no benefit of it. That's how the companions understood this verse. Okay? And then the next verse where Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, and valleys flow according to their capacity. Look at this picture here. This is a valley. Look how much water this valley has taken in. Look how much water flows according to its capacity. Rain may fall on the surfaces of different parts of the earth. However, the earth accepts and absorbs the water depending on its qualities. So likewise, Allah revealed guidance for all mankind and jinn, but our hearts differ in how we absorb that guidance and how we retain it. That's the problem today. This is why Allah has sent all this war. And that's why it's not going to stop. I don't care how much people protest, it ain't going nowhere, because Allah is the power. Allah is the might. He's in control. Until we open up our hearts and absorb the true understanding and the true and practice true this religion of Islam, it's just going to get worse for us. And we have to also understand that some hearts can have a little bit of knowledge in them, and some can have an ocean of knowledge and guidance. Listen to what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in regards to this beautiful parable. Listen to the metaphor he came up with. He said, some of it is good ground, which receives the water and brings forth a great deal of grass and herbage. But some of it is hard and retains the water, and the people can drink from it. The animals can benefit from it. But then there's another part of the earth that is barren, and it doesn't retain the water, nor does nothing grow from it. That's how some of us are. That's how some of us are. Our hearts are dead. You can come and listen to one of my lectures. Some people will hear my lectures and they'll be like, wow, a light goes off in their heart. They learn so much. And then they take what they learn and apply it and share it with others, with their family, their children, their friends. But then others can come and listen to my knowledge and get nothing. They're sitting there typing on the screen. You guys see it. Instead of them listening to my lecture, they're busy typing their opinions, typing their views, not hearing nothing I say. And then they'll leave here after carrying on a conversation with themselves. They'll leave here and twist everything that I really said around because they weren't listening. They weren't paying attention. You can look at some of the comments on YouTube. One of the shorts that I put out when I answered the question about, does a person have to learn Arabic? Does Allah say anywhere in the Quran that in order when you read the Quran, you have to read it in Arabic? Does Allah forbid us from reading the Quran in the transliteration of meaning? I answered that question. It's a simple no. But this person was so busy trying to show off on the internet, whoever this person is that commented, he sat there and threw up 10 verses of the Quran and threw up a bunch of hadiths that were taken out of context. And then said, so here, Allah says we can't. And I told him, thank you for sharing. But that's the answer I gave, with a simple no, and I gave why, and that's the end of it. That's how some people are. Their hearts are so hard to just what they believe that they don't get no benefit from any good they hear others say. All they do is they come in to critique. They come in to find fault. They come in to start problems, to start fitna. So see how we can take these verses, these parables of Allah, and apply them to our lives today. And again, the example of Allah's revelations and the human heart. Allah, He has the knowledge. He has the wisdom that we will never be able to comprehend. But He sends that wisdom. He sends that guidance here for everyone to benefit from, which is in the form of that Quran, which is also in the form of the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. But each human being accepts and derives benefit according to their willingness to accept, and also their capacity. We're not the same. Some of us can understand things better than others. Some of us can learn quicker and faster than others. And that's why the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in a beautiful hadith, he said, the first is the example of a person who understands Allah's religion and gets the benefit from the knowledge that Allah has revealed through me, and learns what Allah revealed through me, and he teaches it to others. The last example, he said, is that of a person who does not care about the knowledge and does not take Allah's guidance that was revealed through me to you. And that person is like a barren land. There's no benefit to it. There's nothing there. It's just dead land. Unfortunately, guys, most of the people we know today are in that second category, like that barren land. Okay? Ramadan is coming. It'll be here by the end of this week. This is the time for us to change the condition of ourselves to that which is pleasing to Allah. This is the time for us to learn Islam in its truthfulness, to open up our dead hearts and make them more receptive to the knowledge and guidance of Allah. Listen to this verse here, where Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, but the flood bears away the foam that mounts up to the surface. Allah is talking about water. How many of you seen an ocean? If you look at the ocean, there's foam on it. There's foam on the ocean. So imagine that in your mind. The water then flows along with the foam forming on top of it. To understand this part of the parable, I want everyone to picture a piece of dry land. And I tried to find a picture. Look at this picture here. Picture a piece of dry land. It will be cracked or sandy soil. Then the dry land will have dirt or filth on top of it. That could be dangerous. The dry land illustrates the heart that is void of Allah's words, Allah's revelations, the Sunnah of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And as you can see this picture, this is a stream. Part of that land is barren. This part has water on it. There's a little bit of foam in the corner over there if you can see it. Okay? The foam. That foam. The foam represents the impurities. The impurities that's coming up out of the heart. Okay? The heart accumulates falsehoods. The heart accumulates desires. The heart accumulates doubt that cover it, that harm it, that wound it. It conceals the fitra within. But then that rushing water will lift all that doubt up, will lift all that falsehood up, and make that heart clean, just like the foam that you see in this little stream here. The foam is the filth from below. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. I'm telling you guys, this is how you benefit from the Quran, not by sitting there singing it in Arabic when you don't know what you're singing. It's by reading it and understanding the meaning, breaking the meaning down and applying it. Listen here. Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, as for the foam, it vanishes. It disappears. But as for that which benefits the people, it remains on the earth. Just like that water is your heart. The doubt, the suspicion, and all of that rises to the top. And as you continue to seek Allah's guidance as you continue to seek Allah's knowledge, that doubt, that suspicion, that falsehood disappears, just like the filth of the foam just vanishes. That's the cleansing torrent over a hardened surface. Subhanallah. And if the revelation continues to pour into your heart, and your heart continues to respond with sincerity, then what was once hard will become softened, and all that scum, the desires, the haram desires, the haram doubts and thoughts will wash away, opening up your heart, refreshing it, making that picture burn brightly. Subhanallah. Now, finally, the last part of that parable, the last verse, Allah says in the interpretation, the meaning, just like that scum, that's the foam disappeared, he says, likewise, from that metal which they smelt in the fire to make ornaments and utensils out of, there comes scum. So the same thing, imagine gold and silver. The gold and silver ores are heated with fire. We put them in fire and we bend them and mold them to make jewelry, to make utensils, to make silverware dishes with. And as we're doing that, the oxides and impurities are removed by the fire. And as the fire removes the impurities, foam rises. Foam rises to the surface of this gold and silver ore. The same thing with iron and copper. When you heat iron and copper, you know the impurities are removed too. They rise to the top. And then when they rise to the top, what do? We take a hammer and pound them out. Pound them out to get the scum and stuff out. Well, subhanallah, this is the same. The ore's tempering represents Allah's words, and his words affect on your fitra within your heart. Allah's words, the truth, will expel the scum that is mixed up in your heart, the falsehood, the lies, the doubt, until your heart becomes pure and soft again. And the more metal is exposed to the fire, the better it becomes. The same with your heart. The more knowledge of Islam, the correct knowledge, the correct understanding of Islam that you apply to your heart, the clearer it becomes. Thus, Allah presents the examples of truth and falsehood. Subhanallah.